Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Virgo November 2020 Astrology Must Knows. This month is very critical and pivotal over the course of the whole 2020 crazy story that we have been going through. We have eclipses. Again, if you don't know about eclipses, I will let you know now that life-changing events are very likely to occur, especially in this time frame, November and December. You might have started to get some inkling about how this might manifest for you even in October, because sometimes we start to see the events that are going to be part of the storylines of the eclipses come 4 to 6 weeks before the actual eclipse. So this is a supercharged time in the cosmos when planets are coming alive and stagnation is likely going to come to a very quick end, almost a dizzying end, kind of like the difference between, southern living, like on a porch with some tea and, laid back in the summer sun, like we've been going through for all this time of quarantine has been very much like this, a slow-paced experience. Now, within a few short weeks, we're going to start to rage into city living, like full-on New York City living, as the planets very rapidly shift. Mercury completes its last retrograde and goes direct. Mars, which rules oomph and momentum and drive and ambition, goes direct this month as well. And that ends the spree that we've had almost all of 2020 of inward and backward reflective energies from the Personal Planet Retrogrades. So everything is starting to come alive and come online at this time. And then bam, right at the end of the month, we've got the first of the two eclipses. So specifically for Virgo placements, you're going to have, as these planets move through Scorpio, and this is actually a very beneficial thing, as every time we get to this part of the year when personal planets, meaning the ones closest to us, so in this case, the Sun and Mercury and Venus, when these planets are moving through Scorpio, this is making a nice angle for Virgos. It's a 60-degree angle. Everything in astrology is based in math. It's a science that has that mathematical basis. And as the planets move through these mathematical configurations, it brings a certain type of energy. And the type of energy that is alive for you this month is massive opportunity. The 60-degree angle is what I call the ingredients on a counter angle. Okay, this is where you have all the ingredients for a pie, and you can make the pie, or you can come back looking for the pie, and then if you get mad that the pie's not made, then you start to understand the angle. You're given the things that you need to do something, but you actually have to do something with them. And this is perfect timing because this is a month to start to take action. Now, please know that the actual time for making decisions and taking big actions comes more towards the end of the month. What we still have at the beginning of the month is kind of like a shadow of the intense, emotional, still very inward energies of October. And in the first week of November, when Mercury actually goes direct, it's going to be very chaotic. There's still a lot of confusion. We, right at the beginning of the month, we still have Mercury, Mars, and Neptune retrograde. But as the month progresses in succession, Mercury, Mars, and then Neptune will go direct. And as each of those planets move forward, a piece of clarity can start to click in. That's why even if opportunities come, if you're not sure exactly how to use them, you might need a little bit more information. And as the month goes on, you'll get that information. One way the information is going to come in is also through the eclipses. Okay, so as the month progresses, the mood changes from slow, backward, confusing, chaotic into more motivated, inspired, clear, energy for really pushing forward. So if you have a launch, if you have a big decision you have to make, if you have contracts, if you have important things that you have to do of a longer lasting nature, then try to hold out, until later in the month, if it's possible, or have a little bridge agreement or something temporary so you can see how these energies start to manifest. When the planets move through Scorpio and it gives these opportunities for Virgo, one of the areas that come alive is your financial sector. Okay, so you might see things that you can do as far as your budget or things that you can do as far as your income. You might have an opportunity to spend money on either a luxury or a higher priced item. And again, if you have to do these things, you'll have more oomph and more positive energy for that as the month progresses. Now, if you have a super deal and it feels right, you have to strike when the iron's hot if that's what it feels like you have to do. But the energy is much better for the big purchases like homes, cars, boats, devices, expensive devices, computers, things like that. And that's the other area for Virgos that's really activated by the Scorpio movements, is this third house, which rules vehicles and communication devices. Now, everyone in the zodiac is having this area of life light up, because the first eclipse, the one on November 30th, is at 8 degrees of Gemini. And Gemini rules this third house, which rules all the, the driving and the mobility and the travel and the talking and the interacting and the social things. So that's coming alive, and we're going to have notable occurrences for everybody in the zodiac. But there is a special extra set of pieces for Virgo placements because of the simultaneous movements of Scorpio through that house that the eclipse is in the sign of. Okay, so if so it's a really good time to make those purchases. Contractually, the beginning of the month is still kind of messy. Okay, so if you have to, sign a contract or go into contract, there's a good chance you're not seeing everything, and that possibly something that you're working on at the beginning of the month may fall through. And if it does, don't worry, because the likelihood that something better is going to come along is really, really high. Okay, so just kind of, feel into it, follow your flow, and you might have to hold out for it. Okay, so the next thing that's really important for us to talk about is the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions. This is really, really critical. This is part of the big astrological instigators of the coronavirus, and the markets, tumbling, and all of the things that have gone on have actually been astrologically triggered. If we look over history, major things that have happen when there are notable mathematical configurations in the stars. And you can see more about this if you search for Annie Botticelli coronavirus. I have a very, very comprehensive look at how these planetary cycles have created what we have experienced. But I'll give you just a couple of tidbits here because it's relevant, because we're having the third chapter of the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction occur this month on November 12th. Now, even though it's happening on that day, it's such a big aspect that it really echoes weeks before and weeks after, and it's also in the backdrop the whole year. Okay, so on April 4th, June 30th, and now the last time on November 12th, Jupiter, the great expander, Pluto, the thing that blows stuff up and builds it anew, together at the same exact point in the sign that rules systems. Okay, so that's why all of our systems are blowing up and being tested. And so just to kind of give you a frame of reference, the last time Jupiter and Pluto got together before this sequence this year was around the 2008 timeframe. And when that happened, they only came together once. Okay, sometimes these planets cross in their paths one time and then they move on from each other. But sometimes, because of retrograde processes, it happens in threes. So that's saying things happen in threes. I believe that that's astrological, because you can see many instances where there's a triplicate effect astrologically, and then it causes external manifestations in triplicates. So this year we had 3 of them, whereas in 2008 we only had 1. And you see how crazy it was in 2008. Well, that's part of why it's been so much more intense. So the final chapter is occurring. Now, of course, it's not like after November 12th, the whole story of coronavirus and what has gone on just ends. That's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is we are going to see something notable moving into the next evolution of what this is going to look like. And hopefully this, will move us more towards things being back to normal. Not exactly, it never will be exactly as it was, but things will start opening up very likely after this point here. And you might start feeling that because, again, these outer planets moving together, there's orbs of energies that are months long. So these things are in process more than just the day that they occur. So this has been in a beautiful angle. All of this madness has actually been in a beautiful angle for Virgo placements. And as such, there might be many people with Virgo placements, especially those in the later part of the time. So like the last around 8 or 9 days of the sign. So we're talking about, you know, like around September 15th on through the rest of the sign, or around like 21, 22 degrees through the rest of the sign if you know your degree, if you're watching for your moon Virgo, rising Virgo, or sun in Virgo, or whatever placement you're watching for. You all have extra chance that this has been really positively noteworthy because it's making a trine with your placement. But every Virgo has had a chance to capitalize from this. And this could have come from very obvious things gelling for you, or this could come from the things that were not sustainable, were never going to be sustainable, were a problem for you, just being taken away. And then it seems like you're not in a good position. But what's really happening is the seeds for your future stability are being sown. And so something notable in that arena can show up in this month where you kind of start to see what this is going to look like for you. There's also some specific energy for Virgos around the energy of your creativity, children, romantic relationships, hobbies, fun, doing your hobbies as work, establishing those as businesses. There's a lot of energy for Virgos with this Pluto Jupiter storyline because it's occurring in the house of your creative efforts, of your hobbies, of your romance. It's basically all creativity, from the spark of an idea through the fruit and the managing of it. And that's the same for a child, whether it's the conception through the childbearing, through the child rearing, or whether it's the idea of a creative project and then the carrying out of that project. So anything that puts you out where people see you, you know, acting, fashion, singing, athleticism, anything where people are looking at you, or knowing who you are, there's some extra energy around this type of something coming together for you. Okay, so let's see. Eclipses tend to bring in life-changing situations, and those of you who are in the early to early middle degree placement, so basically that's like August born through like the first, we'll say 5 days of September, you all are more likely to have more dramatic effects from the eclipse when we're just looking at your Virgo placement. I can't see your other placements and what angle this eclipse is making with those placements, but when we're looking just strictly at your Virgo placement, those of you who are in that sector, the August born through around September 5th, you're going to be in closer angle of an exact hit, and this is going to be a square. Okay, a square is a point of tension, it's a point of conflict, and it's a point of stress. But sometimes it just cracks the matrix and cracks you into something really great. And for most Virgos, this is going to show up in your work and career sector. Okay, so this is coming up again in multiple ways. It came through with the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Capricorn, which rules the 10th house, which is where this eclipse is going to be flavoring for many of the Virgo placements, okay? So something ending, something beginning, something notable happening in your work and career. Now, for other Virgos, this might take place in something having to do with immigration, or in something having to do with international travel, or languages, or teaching, or learning, education programs, things like that. And if you happen to have your work in the international arena, or in teaching, or in education, or in languages, then it's kind of showing up both with the work and, you know, these other divisions. This also has to do with writing and publishing books, or public speaking, or even spiritual studies, or like work with a church, or, you know, anything having to do with your spiritual beliefs. So you might see something notable in those arenas as well. And if you would like to see even more ways that these eclipses might manifest for you, then I have a whole eclipse series. So if you look for Annie Botticelli Eclipses in Gemini, or you can go to my homepage and click on the playlists and look for Eclipses in Gemini, then that will be for all Virgo placements. You can also look at my Eclipses in Sagittarius, because those will start to factor in this month as well. And we'll talk about those more in the December report, but you can kind of get a heads up about that by looking at the Eclipses in Sagittarius. And then also for those of you who are August born up through around September 5th. Then look for my eclipses in Capricorn or 10th house, because that you're very likely going to feel that eclipse energy there. Then those of you who are September born Virgos, or from like 10 to 29 degrees, if you're watching for your moon or rising, then you all will probably have that eclipse actually in your 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of Sagittarius. So you'll be having extra helpings of the energy of Sagittarius, because we'll have the eclipse in December in the sign of Sag, but you'll also have the November eclipse in the house of Sag, okay? So a lot of extra potentials there for you September born in that Sagittarius arena. Okay, so as the planets, so like I said, you know, we have a lot of Scorpio energy this month still, and that is really positive for Virgo placements. As the month goes on towards the end, the energy starts to move into Sagittarius, and that is at a little bit more of an awkward angle for Virgos, but that doesn't happen until the very, you know, like closer to the end of the month. So you still have a lot of goodness before this this other element starts coming in. And this other element is going to bring in more of kind of like a spinning of possibly a lot of options, possibly just like a lot of busyness, where you're not as able to be as detail oriented as you would like because of the just massive amount of either options or things that have to be tended to. Now on the plus side, it looks like it will be really busy socially and busy interacting, and some of this may still be online, but some of it might be in person. And you know, again, it's going to push you, and it's going to put stress on your Virgo placement. So you'll want to get more rest, especially as these planets start to get into Sagittarius as the month wears on and we get into December. This energy of the Gemini eclipse, and then we have a December Sagittarius eclipse. Those eclipses hit Virgo placements at this 90-degree angle. So this whole eclipse cycle that started in the middle of 2020 and go to the end of 2021 are at this tough angle for Virgos. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but what it is going to be is cracking you out of your comfort zone. And just remember that that theme, okay? Because every time we get towards the, you know, we have eclipse cycles twice a year, and then in between the eclipse cycles, things kind of like die down into the backdrop. And then as we get closer to this November 30th, December 14th, the eclipse times again, then it spins back up into the forefront, and it literally will be spinning because the motion of the Virgo and of Sagittarius and of Gemini is in a spiral. Okay, so you're going to feel these energies spiraling, in some cases out of control, and it's going to be a lot to manage your center. So just kind of know that going in, and know that your home and your work are going to continue undergoing many, many changes with this eclipse cycle, and that's going to be brought into the forefront again at this time, and you might start to see really clear news of that even developing in October. Okay, so if you would like to have more information about what this month might hold, including the sweet aspects, the sweet dates, the salty dates, what the aspects are, what you should look out for, how they might manifest, and have all that delivered into your inbox 1 month early, like I do everything else, then go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. I will not spam you. I only send out 3 newsletters a month, and they all have lots of information of things that I've created to further help you use the energies that are present at that time. And you also get my Shine, my 20-day virtual coaching program for free as part of my email community. So that's something else to look forward to with that. If you'd like to take some free courses, including my course that was a paid course called Unleash Your Money Magnet, you can go to my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. All the links I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. So if you click on the More button with the little arrow, it will reveal all of these links in the note box. If you would like written horoscopes by me that are super simple, a little review of the month, and much less complex than the details I go into in the videos, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com, and you'll see other astrology-kissed healthy lifestyle blogs there, and my monthly written horoscopes that are up 1 month early. In general, this is a really flowing, mood for Virgos. The more you can let the universe dictate how you apply your critical eye, the easier it's going to be for you to transition from the very big change of energy that takes place over the course of the month, and then just kind of be ready for some pretty big changes that'll put you out of your comfort zone for these eclipses. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.